Welcome to the Drum Mechanics Podcast. Today we're talking to Jerrod Sullivan, and I'm really excited about this one. Jerrod is currently on tour with Janet Jackson, also a part of the supergroup, the 4Korners. Jerrod is also a physical specimen. He's in incredible shape. He is strong, he's muscular, he's been taking care of his body and his health for his entire career. He has incredible pocket, playing some of the most infectious and solid grooves with the biggest musicians in the world. He even has a clothing brand called Got Pocket, which you have to check it out. I've got the yellow hoodie. It's absolutely incredible. But he also has incredible chops, mobility, and power around the drum set that is unrivaled. Jerrod gets into everything in this episode, from fitness to health to chops to pocket to healthy lifestyle and injury, really everything you need to play the drums forever. If you're new here, the Drum Mechanics Podcast is really all about sharing with you the experiences of professional drummers being the fittest drummers on earth, or people who have struggled with injuries or challenges and how they've overcome them to end up in the incredible position that they are today. But please help me welcome Jerrod. I'm really excited for this one. I hope you enjoy it. Jerrod, welcome to the Drum Mechanics Podcast, man. I'm so happy to have you here, man. How's your day going so far?
Going great, man. I appreciate you for having me on, bro.
Yeah, man, honestly. So when all the Drum Mechanics stuff started taking off, I did a remix of you where I talked about your drum throwing height, in my opinion, thinking it was perfect. And also, I noticed from a distance, you're quite muscular, quite jacked. So I think this brings up, man. This brings up some great conversation topic, man. So I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yeah. Likewise, man. Yes,
cool,
sir.
Man. Listen, so I asked my broadcast people if they have any questions for you. And the question around your drum throwing height and ergonomics came up quite a bit. I know I'm pretty biased towards that, but there's some people that seem to think you have some strong preferences around how you set things up. I was just wondering, could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so as far as just speaking over like just about my setup in general, like for me, I like to be comfortable. I don't like to have to reach too far to reach, cymbals or different components around the kit. Like I like to be able to just, sit straight forward, and if I have to if I feel any tension in my shoulder at all by reaching, then for me I have a cymbal or anything like that too far away from me. So I like everything to be kind of compact and easily to be able to for me to be able to reach it and play it. So that's generally how I like to set up, just for me to be comfortable, man. And I'm not a tall guy, for one thing. Like I'm like 5'5", and I know that's a lot of people think, just by seeing my videos and stuff, like he's tall, so he must be he sits kind of high. But I'm a shorter guy, so it may look like I'm sitting kind of high, but I have shorter legs, so it's like it's overall though, I'm just set up to where I'm like super comfortable, and I like everything to be compact to where I can reach it easily and don't have to don't feel any tension in my shoulders or anything like that.
So is that something you just came up with intuitively? Because you have a rather large drum set nonetheless.
Yeah.
But when I watch you play, like it seems like everything's within a pretty comfortable zone.
Yeah, so the thing that really got me to looking into my setup and like really making sure that I was comfortable. Like I signed up to Dave Weckel's course about maybe 4 years ago, and it wasn't for that though. I was trying to learn more about like how he thinks about his playing, and like what's his mindset behind when he plays certain things on the kit. But that was one of the modules in the course, was the setup module, and he was like, he sets up everything to where in its natural positioning. So meaning that, when you reach your arms out, when you raise your arms, like your stick should already be like an extension of your arm. You should already be at the drum. You shouldn't have to reach all the way over here to play certain things, because that's going to create tension in your shoulders and just make you kind of feel uncomfortable. So that's what really motivated me and inspired me to like really, get serious with my setup and making sure that I was comfortable. And even hardware. Like I noticed too, when I upgraded my hardware, I was using this was years ago, but I used to use like I'm not gonna name any brands, but like some cheaper hardware, and it wasn't as durable, it was more on the lighter side. But I noticed immediately too, like when I upgraded the hardware and got more of the heavy duty hardware, that made a huge difference too, as far as just me being comfortable and able to adjust certain things around the kit exactly the way I wanted it. So all that stuff made a huge difference. But yeah, that course is what really that's what really inspired me to really get serious about like my setup and just being comfortable behind the kit, because you know, that made a huge difference as far as like just me playing. I play better when I feel good and feel comfortable behind the kit.
That's awesome, man. Now, I'm
Yeah.
just curious with your setup. I mean, have you made any weird adjustments where you've placed something in a spot that's not quite traditional just to make sure that it feels more comfortable?
Um, I don't think I have. To be honest, I mean, the only thing, well, this particular setup that I have in my studio, no. But for this, Jeffrey Osborne, for example, so I use two snares and then I use a SPDS um, over the side snare. So some drummers they may not be comfortable with that setup. Like they'll see like I have my snare right here and like you can't see on the camera, but it's like the SPDS is kind of more. It's almost like halfway over the snare,
Okay.
so it could be an awkward position for drummers to play because they may feel like they may clip the SPDS on the way back up or something like that. So, but that's the only thing, honestly. Like I don't really do anything crazy with my setups. Like I know another drummer told me he was looking at the setup I got with Janet. And he was like, man, you know, it just looks I guess it looks normal or whatever. It doesn't look like anything crazy. And I'm like, I just like to feel at home. I like to play. I like to feel comfortable. So I don't want to do anything. I don't set up my drums to make it look amazing. I want to feel amazing first. Like that's the most thing. That's the most important thing. It's like if I set up a certain way, it's for me to feel comfortable. It's not just for the look. So
I got you. Although that purple craze kit you got by the reference series is looking pretty badass.
oh yeah, hey man, yeah. Pearl did a thing with that one, bro. I mean is it a stock? It's not a. It may be a stock color, but yeah, I got that from my album that I recorded in 2023 to kind of go with the theme. It was a purple theme, so yeah,
Nice.
man, they came through with that. And then the reference one kit. I mean, it's amazing, man. I love the kit.
If you're new to the podcast, Drum Mechanics is committed to helping drummers play the drums forever. And there's two ways that we do that. Through incredible ergonomics, making sure that the drum set allows you to do the things you want to do and causes no harm, and developing your body. We've just started the Drum Forever Fitness Program, which is an extremely inexpensive, science-backed fitness process that is minimalist. All you need is dumbbells and elastic bands to help drummers improve their strength. Resistance training has been well documented to be one of the most powerful ways to maintain your skeletal muscle, avoid injury, and ultimately perform at a very high level. I'd encourage you to check out www.drummechanics.com, check out the Drum Forever Fitness Program, and please join the community of the strongest drummers on earth. But now, back to the episode.
Sure.
I got one last ergonomic question for you because I promise it's not going to just be that biased for the whole conversation. I'm sure many
It's
people
all
like
good.
that, though. So, I mean, the first thing I noticed about you was your drum throne height, and I mean that like I'm not obsessed with drum throne height, but you were sitting in a really comfortable position. You're sitting in the middle of the throne. You're on a flat round top. At least the video that I saw you. Is that something that you spent a lot of time with too? Is it just been the comfort focus? Have you tried other thrones and found that they didn't work for you?
I have. So I use the saddle, the bicycle throne top.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not a circular top, but I have though, and for me, this is the most comfortable one. Like it's like if I sit on a circular top, for me, it's like I feel imbalanced, and I don't
Interesting.
know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's just something about I don't know. I feel like when I'm playing, I'm doing this the whole time, just rocking kind of back and forth. But it's like with a saddle throne, it's just I don't know. I just feel more comfortable, more balanced for some reason. And once again, I don't know. I can't tell you why, but it's just it could be a mental thing. I don't know, but yeah, I just feel way more comfortable with that though.
Cool, man. Yeah, it's because there's more
Yeah,
surface area. I mean, since it's concave, your thighs get
exactly.
to sit down in it, and it's like digging your foot down to the ground before you throw a ball if you were pitching. If you got that little bit of
That makes
pocket, you
sense.
can put that much more force.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, bro. Yeah,
Cool.
that's got to be what it is, cause yeah, it's like I don't feel comfortable at all when I'm sitting on. It depends. It depends. Like some circular tops I do, but generally though, I always request a saddle throne,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just because that's home. That's like home base for me.
It works for you, man, and that's all that matters. It looks good too.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
So I'm sure people are going to be a little frustrated that we're like a handful of minutes in and I haven't asked you about Janet Jackson or 4 Korners, and maybe we'll come back to that. But I really wanted to get into, like, I did notice, I mean, I don't want to be, you are in great shape. And I wanted to ask some questions
Yeah.
about that because I found
Okay.
there are many drummers who are in great shape, and they seem
Yeah.
to also lean towards playing around the drum set smoother and easier. I mean, I think of the Thomas Langs, Matt Garskas. I think of you.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who are just, they have more muscularity, but they move smoothly as
Yeah.
well too. So I was wondering, could you speak
Yeah.
a little bit to your workout routine and a little bit of how you got into fitness? Or if you're just genetically like that, I'm going to be really frustrated.
Nah, it's not like that. So I've been working out, I'll say off and on, since I started sports in middle school. Like I started playing football in middle school, and we had to do weight training or whatever. So that's where it started for me. That's where the weightlifting and working out really started for me. And I continued on through school, kind of off and on, and then kind of after graduating, I started to be more consistent in the gym and just making sure that I stayed fit or whatever. But yeah, as far as like my workout routine though, I try to go at least 4 times a week. That's not always the case, I'll be honest. Like if I'm on the road or whatever, we're in rehearsals, I'll be honest and say that I may be too tired to go to the gym. But I try to at least go 4 times a week, and I try to do something like this, like a schedule, like Monday I'll do chest and arms. Tuesday I may do back and shoulders. Wednesday I may do legs. Thursday I may do just abs and cardio. So it's kind of, I kind of keep that workout schedule as much as I can. And but like I said, it's not always 4 days a week though. And I try to if I'm missing a lot from the gym though, I always try to make sure that I have a good diet and I eat good food and don't eat any trash and just don't consume any trash. Just to make sure that I'm staying healthy. But that's generally what I do, and I try to stick to that as much as possible.
Awesome. Now, the curious thing I wanted to ask you, because that's awesome. I mean, that's a very standard, solid routine. How does that
Yeah.
routine vary when you're on tour? Like if you're doing if you're with Janet or doing 4 Korner stuff over the years, how have you been able to balance that? Or does it completely change?
You mean as far as like I guess what I have access to on the road versus at home and
Yeah.
stuff like that? So of course, like in the hotel gyms, we don't have as much free weight. We don't have as much machines, so we kind of have to improvise a little bit. So instead of doing, I don't know, instead of doing bench press at the hotel because they may not have that, I might just do dumbbell press or do some push-ups to kind of still work that muscle.
Yep.
So I do that, and then as far as like the my diet on the road, I sometimes I bring like protein powder with me. I bring collagen peptide powder. I just started that a couple months ago
Nice.
with my smoothie. So I bring like a little small blender on the road and make smoothies in the rooms. I'll bring some tea, and I have like a little what do you call it? What's the thing that heats up boils water? What's it called?
Like a kettle?
Kettle, exactly. I bring
Yeah.
a kettle with me, and yeah, make tea in the room, and
Nice.
put some collagen peptide in that, and drink it for just kind of doing as much as I can on the road. And then we have we have catering, in between rehearsals and shows and stuff like that. So I load up on veggies and protein. So kind of just watching what I eat for the most part, and then as far as the gym, just doing as much as I can in the gym and kind of trying to improvise as much as I can and still work the muscles that I want to work, just to kind of stay in shape. I probably won't be able to max out or anything on the road, but just staying in shape and trying to keep that routine together as much as possible.
Yeah, I got two questions about this. One kind of now, and then one like, years ago when you were kind of before you had some of the bigger gigs. But right now,
Yeah.
you're on tour, you have access to a great hotel gym. Well, hotel gyms, the best hotel gym that you
Right.
got. Have you had any negative effects from pushing yourself, doing a workout to kind of like your max pedigree and then having a show later that night? Or do you try and scale the intensity of your workouts based off of, hey, I got a big gig tonight?
Yeah, so I try not to work out. I try not to work out my arms and shoulders the day of a show. Um, Especially like a Janet show, because that show I'm playing pretty much playing at the same dynamic level, which is full out power the whole show for like an hour or 90 minutes, pretty much.
Right.
And I mean, if I work out that day, my arms gonna be on fire. And then even if I work out my shoulder, is my shoulders gonna be sore and tight. So I try I try to work another muscle group. I may even just do cardio or do abs like that the day of the show, just to kind of keep my arms and my torso kind of loose.
Nice.
But yeah, I have experienced that though, like a bad effect, like working out day of the show, working out arms and chest maybe. Uh, that night when I'm playing, and I need to do a better job about this too. I need to stretch more, which I don't do a whole lot of in the gym. Not before I play, but like in the gym, I need to stretch more. But I got to the show, started playing, and uh, just my forearms felt tight, lock up on me a little bit. So yeah, from that on, like I was like, I need to drink more water for one, and
Yeah.
then probably not work out arms the day of the show. So yeah, that's what I try to do, man. Just do like some cardio or something, and something just to get my blood flowing and maintain that routine as much as possible. But yeah, I try to stay away from heavy lifting day of the show.
When we finish this episode, I'll flip over. I made a video. It's on YouTube, but I'll send it to you. It's called, I call it drum throne yoga, but it's a whole mobility
Okay.
routine that you can just do from your drum throne.
Yeah.
So you want to work on mobility. It's you just need a drum throne. You don't even need a throne. It's just kind of cheesy marketing, but I'll flip it over to you.
Nice. I need that. Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. Thank you.
So the one I want to ask you though is you talked about because right now you got decent catering available to you and you have access to gyms.
Yeah.
When you first started touring, I imagine that in
Mhm.
your formative years, I mean, I knew you blew up pretty quick, which was nice, but there was some time I'm sure where you didn't have access to the same quality food, I imagine. And I'm just wondering, could you speak to when you were getting started, maybe some strategies you did to try and stay healthy that maybe a new touring musician might be able to learn from?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, like my habits weren't as good back then. Like
Mm,
I wasn't really focused on my diet at that time because I was younger and I was just like, hey, if it's good, I'm gonna eat it. Like candy,
yeah,
like people go to McDonald's, like that be the only stop that we make, and I just kind of eat whatever. Um, but I would say, you know, I guess for a person that's touring on that level now or just starting, my advice would be to definitely watch what you eat, watch what you consume. It's cool to have sweets. It's cool to have that stuff sometimes, but don't not too much and not too often. Just make sure that like you get proper nutrients and that outweighs the bad food. You know what I'm saying?
yep,
And then drink as much water as you can too. Like just really just watch your diet though, because it'll catch up to you if you make that a habit. I've seen it happen to a bunch of friends. So that would be my advice. Like you know, but like I said, back in that time of my career, I wasn't really focused on diet. I was just kind of eating whatever, and I saw some of my friends it was just bad bad for them or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I need to get my stuff together while I can. You know what I mean? So yeah, that would be my advice. Just watch your diet.
yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of touring musicians at different levels and hearing many of them not having the budget necessarily for the catering that needs to be healthy food. So they turn to faster
Right.
food and then they're getting
Hmm.
dehydrated or their stomach's upset and they're just trying to get through this kind of like fatigue that they have. So I think it's great
Yeah.
advice. Like try and avoid that garbage as much as you can.
Yeah, as much as you can, man. I mean, if hey man, if that's all if that's all you have access to, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So, but try to as much as possible. Like when you have access to a good meal, like get a good meal, man.
Yeah.
And just because it's like when you feed yourself, it's like you want to have energy when you play, man. Like you don't want to like if you consume bad food or processed food all the time, like that's going to affect how you play. It's going to affect how you feel, all that stuff, man. It'll show on your skin, everything. So it's like you want to make sure that you just taking care of yourself as much as possible on the road.
You know, when you're performing at your level, I'm sure that when you switched your diet to, and I mean like you're doing 90-minute shows, when you changed your diet, like you removed some garbage and started eating cleaner, I'm sure like there's
Yeah.
this, I've heard people call it like the fog is lifted, where there was a fog and it was, you were
Oh
kind of
yeah.
hazy, tired all the time. And then when you got rid of it, you're like, I actually feel great. And I don't want to feel that fog anymore.
Yeah, man. Like when I switched to it was a moment where I was a pescatarian for like a year,
Okay.
and I realized immediately like it's like I when I wake up I was just full of energy, and I was like, man, I was just I was eating kind of reckless a little bit, and I felt the change though, almost instantly, and I had more energy. I could focus better. My retention was better. I was remembering stuff like really easily, and I noticed that I was like, man, I don't want to I don't want to necessarily go back. Like if I go back to eating the red meat, maybe only eat it once a week or something like that, or eat just not too much of it. And I've kind of tried to maintain that and how I feel, because it affects my playing. Like I want to perform at 110%, and it's like if I don't take care of myself as far as like the diet and stuff, then I won't be able to. It's going to make me feel tired when I don't need to feel tired. It's going to, it could possibly affect my retention and how I'm able to retain certain things and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I'm on point with that, and just, staying somewhat strict, when it comes to diet and what I consume.
One of my close family members, and I have nothing against any particular food eating style, so I want to make sure this is not about that, but she went full
Yeah.
vegan and was really committed to
Mhm.
it and did it for like 2 years. And she started
Yeah.
noticing like at the end of like a year, she was just exhausted all the time and couldn't figure it out. And after getting blood
Mm.
work, her iron levels were just crashed right down. Her creatinine levels were just
Wow.
dropped. So the doctor actually said, like, listen, if you're open to this, try this. 1 day a week, have 4 ounces of red meat, which is really not a lot. And so she had like a
Mm.
little bit of red meat and her energy was flying. Like she was getting all the vitamins from the
Wow.
vegetables. It was just missing
Yeah.
that little bit that comes from proteins. And so it's not even like
Wow.
a bad food, good food thing. It's making sure you're getting what you need. And that's what it sounds like you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you can feel it too. It's like your body's gonna tell you like, hey, you don't need to be eating this, or it's gonna tell you like you'll notice if um well, I mean, I know what you just said, like she wasn't eating enough red meat, so she wasn't getting iron. So but
Yeah.
all in all though, your body's gonna tell you like when something's wrong. Like if you're not getting enough of something, or if you're eating something bad, you just gotta listen to your body though.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you taking creatine monohydrate by chance?
No.
Dude, I'm
No.
gonna send you some articles. You need, dude, it's super cheap, so good,
Yeah.
and it helps you so much. And it's, yeah, like you can get 80 servings for like $25, or in US like
Oh
$15.
wow.
I'll send you some articles.
Okay.
It's like, you need to do it.
Yeah, send it to me, man.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
check that out for sure.
Cool. So on top of, so the training split sounds really good. There's one thing that's hard to deny though. When you play, you smash. Like you do got pocket, like your branding suggests, which is awesome. By the way, check out Got Pocket clothing if you haven't checked that out. You got to check it
Yes,
out.
sir.
But you play for 90 minutes these shows, and you play 90 minutes hard. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Is there anything that you did to prepare to play 90-minute shows at that intensity, or is it something that you just kind of inherently worked towards and just kind of did trial by fire?
Man, so up until the Janet gig, like the other gigs that I had been doing, it's like throughout the entire show, even with the Four Corner stuff, there's like this like I said, it's just dynamic. It's a dynamic difference between, from song to song or whatever. It's like we're going up and down throughout the show. This show, there is some moments where, the show kind of drops and we do some ballads or something like that. But for the most part though, the show is, full. It's full of energy. It's one dynamic level that I'm playing really, as far as power. And I remember like the first week of rehearsals, we were running the show, 90-minute show, maybe like 3 or 4 times a day. So, and I was coming in playing with I was using a lighter stick, like the 5A barrels, because that's what I've been using. That's my main stick. Um, but I realized when I was playing though, it's like I started to feel some type, like some soreness in my wrist. and then like my hands kind of swell up a little bit, and I was like, so I had got to the point to where I had to ice my hands at night, kind of just to help soothe them or whatever, and then I had to switch to a slightly heavier stick, so I went from the 5A barrel to the Extreme 5A, and when I switched, you know, by making that contact on the snare, it you know uh, what do you call it? It helped with the, I guess, the power and the friction that I was
Yeah.
getting from the, what I'm saying, from the strokes or whatever. So that helped. Um, but also too, I just had to, just by running that show like 3 times a day though, that kind of conditioned me to be able to do the actual show with ease. It's like just by running that week of rehearsals. Once I got past that and we went to production rehearsals, full production rehearsals, we were only running the show once. I mean, it felt like a breeze. So it's like, I guess by repetition, by doing it over and over again, it kind of conditioned me to be able to do that. Even with like past situations, it's like that's really the only thing that I really did was just playing it over and over and just make sure I was conditioned to do it. Almost like working out. It's like, the more you do it, the stronger you're going to get. So yeah, that's kind of what I did, man. And
So
of
you do.
course, it's switching, making adjustments to gear, and like I said, with the sticks, like going to a heavier stick, that helped as well. So yeah,
I mean, you do 4.5 hours of deadlifts. An hour is going to feel like nothing.
exactly. So yeah, that's exactly what happened, man. Like that first week of rehearsals was, yeah, it was tough for me. Just running that show because it's the show is high energy. So yeah, but like I said, like once we got to the actual like full production or whatever, it was a breeze.
This is an odd question, but with a production of that size and you're that busy, is there
Uh,
how much support is there for you, either a mental support or coaching support or something like that, just like promoting your health? Like, are there people there that are like checking in on you and making sure you're okay? Because I imagine I worked with Olympic athletes, and
yeah,
at the Olympic athletes have like a ton of support people, one person for everything, and you're kind of like
right.
the Olympics of that. Is there support systems in place to make sure you're good?
Yeah, they are. It's so there's a personal
Yeah,
trainer that Janet has. It's Janet's personal trainer, but
cool.
he works out with us sometimes. He kind of checks in, and if we feel any soreness or whatever, like he'll check in on us, and then we have a masseuse out there as well. So we
Amazing.
definitely have people out there to take care of us and kind of help when something is wrong with our body physically or whatever. So this one tour that we did, this I think it was the US tour. The US tour that we did, all of us got sick one show. So it's like they rushed to the stores, they brought us bags of, everything, medicine, vitamins, liquids. I mean, they kind of just overdid it. So but they always make sure that we're taken care of. Always. Because they, I mean, especially with the drums and like the certain elements of the show, it's like certain people can't miss. So it's like we got to make sure that these guys are healthy and they're able to do this show. Because if they can't do the show, I mean, it's no show. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah,
Now you
yeah,
mentioned the 5A stick switch to the X55A, which is a great stick. I actually have that on the drum set right now. I love that stick.
yeah,
I'm just wondering. You talked about your wrist getting sore when you're doing that mega, 4.5 hour day practice. Have you sustained any
yeah.
other injuries from drumming that has caused you some challenges?
Just blisters like
Just,
this.
oh yeah, that's a doozy, man.
Yeah, that happened. That actually happened this past weekend. And I usually put lotion on my hands
Yeah.
before I play, just to make sure that my hands are kind of moist or whatever. My skin is moist. So, but I didn't. I didn't this past weekend, and yeah, got me a little friend on my thumb.
So what do you do? Do you just let the friend hang out? Are you a popper? Are you an electrical tape cover? What do you do? Like, you got to play tonight. What are you gonna
Uh,
do?
so what happened was it didn't pop at first, but I continue. I had to finish the show though, and it popped. And it pretty much came off. So now, like if I had to do a show tonight, I'll probably put lotion up or whatever, but then I'll tape it with like some what is it, like bandage tape or athletic
Okay,
tape or something like that, and just play with it on my thumb, and I can pretty much get through it.
that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
Everyone asks about blisters. I don't know why. So good that we covered that.
yeah, man. Hey, they're not fun to have, but hey, that's what I do. If I gotta do a show tonight, that's what I'm gonna do.
Dude, when my first gig was in, I mean, when I was like 13, was like in a terrible punk rock band. I was like working at McDonald's for
Yeah,
like a week. And I remember playing it and
yeah.
I gripped the sticks way too hard. I went to work the next day, I had 14 blisters on my fingers. I just remember like my
Oh
whole
man.
hand. I was wearing rubber gloves, flipping burgers. It was just brutal.
Nah, man, those things hurt, man.
Yeah.
Especially when when water hits it for the first time. Oh my gosh, bro.
Yeah.
Hurts. Burns.
So on the other side of it, so you've mentioned that your conditioning for the long show, I mean, kind of came trial by fire.
Yeah.
You had that huge thing and you came down. Have you ever struggled? You kind of mentioned this a little bit, but struggled with your arms fatiguing and hands fatiguing in the middle of a show, and you got to keep going. And I'm just wondering if you have what kind of strategies if you have any strategies to kind of get through that.
Let me think. Yes, I have. Um, from what I can think of, though, this happened. From what I can remember, it happened when I was playing with the 4Korners when I was soloing on this song called "Port of Gold." So like this is the last song that we usually do, like the encore or whatever. And I mean, so we just played an entire show, and the last song is like when I probably go my hardest out of the whole show. So during my solo, I'm playing more 30-second note stuff, 16 note stuff, and I feel my arms just kind of tighten up on me. So I'm like, okay, I got to finish the song. So it's really no strategy for me to get through it. It's almost like I just got to man up and get through it. So it's like I go from doing go from playing like the faster stuff to playing more accent, like big accent and those stuff, just to get through the song. So that's usually what I do. It's like if I feel myself locking up, it's like, okay, I know I may not be able to give 110% for the rest of this song, so let me just focus on getting through it and staying on beat. Just keeping the main accents of the groove there, just to get through the song, and then drink some water in between songs as much as I can or whatever. Kind of stretch my forearms out, my wrist out, and I mean that's pretty much it. It's really no strategy. It's like I just gotta get through it. But I've noticed though, usually when that happens to me, it's like I haven't drank enough water before the show.
Right.
And that's yeah, and that's so I like to drink like I like to start drinking water like that morning of the show. So it's like I'll drink nothing but water leading up until the show, but it's like I have to leave like a gap, like at least like a hour or 2 hour gap between rest time show, so I'm not on stage and I gotta pee during the
Yeah.
show. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the worst too. It's like especially if you're doing a show with Janet, it's like you don't have time to go to the restroom. It's like so you want to make sure like you're hydrated way like in advance before the show or before an hour before the show, like because you don't want to be on stage and have to go to the restroom. It's like you gotta wait for 90 minutes. So
You can't wave down Janet and say, 1 second, Janet, be right back.
nah, no sir, nah. Maybe a different situation, but not that though. It's like nah, you gotta deal with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Now,
yeah,
that brings up another. So, with all of that, I mean, you're playing a 90-minute show. You mentioned you were
hmm
going hard on a solo, and your arms started to lock up. Do you have
yeah.
like in your head? Okay, so I'm starting off the show. I'm going hard, but I'm going to go 80% hard, and then this section I'm going to go 100%, and I'm going to bring it back. Like, do you have some sort of way you control how hard you're hitting to make sure you don't blow your fatigue by accident?
Um, I'll be honest. Like, so if I'm playing with 4 Korners, no. Uh, and if I'm pretty much any other situation, I'm in like with the like Jeffrey Osborne. Since the show is kind of going up and down, I don't have to focus on that too much because there's moments in the show where I can
Mm,
kind of hold back, like the ballads, like the songs where it's just vocals or something like that, or it's just vocals and keys. Like those are moments I can rest, and I know they're coming. But with a show with Janet, it's like there are certain interludes where I can rest, but they're long medleys throughout the show though. So you got this one medley, and it may be 20 or 25 minutes long, and I'm just playing 2 and 4 on the snare, accenting those for that long. So
right.
it's like I try to keep in mind, okay, this medley, I'm going to it's like I'm going to go 110% as far as what I play, but I may play with a little bit less power to allow myself enough energy to, deal with this next one that's coming up or get through the rest of this show. So
Right.
that's something I've had to keep in mind for that show, because initially I'm going all in like throughout the entire show, which I want to do and what I initially do, but it's like it's something that I have to keep in mind to, like, okay, I got to get through. I still got to play the rest of this section, so let me dial it back just a little bit. And then too, the thing with that gig is like my snares, they're triggered too. So they're hearing a blend of acoustic sound and the sample sound is from the trigger. So it's like I don't necessarily have to play as hard as I do. I can let the mics kind of work for me. The mics and the triggers work a little bit for me. So I guess that's the upside to it. But yeah, that's something I have to keep in mind though. It's like, okay, I got to finish the rest of this show, so let me kind of like play what I would normally play, but dial back the power just a little bit to where it's not noticeable, and I still keep the energy of the show, integrity of the show.
I imagine that's not something that can be taught. Like if you had a drummer take a lesson with you, you can't really teach them like that because that comes from you playing a full show and going, okay, that part sucked. Next time I come to it, I'm going
Yeah,
to scale this back and then I can push this part. And you're kind of just constantly
exactly.
assessing.
Exactly. And I mean, if you record yourself and like kind of go back and listen to it, you'll be able to hear it, like how you play the section or whatever. You're like, okay, I played this section kind of weak. So, and I know why I played it weak. So let me, dial it back a little bit before I get to this section, but just enough to where this section doesn't lag. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's just something that you kind of gotta do in the moment,
Yeah.
based on how you feel. It's like if you got enough energy to play full out both of these sections, then go for it. But it's certain days and certain shows where you may not be 110% physically. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you travel the night before and you didn't get enough sleep the night before. I mean, that's going to affect how you play that show. So it's like if you know that, then you kind of should. If you don't know, kind of like try to study yourself and see what you need to do moving forward. Like, okay, if I feel this way, I need to do this, or I need to play this way. So, and that's kind of what I've done and had to do with that situation.
Beautiful, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you answering all these questions, dude. You're doing a great job too.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely, bro.
So I got a handful more for you and then we can get you off to
Okay.
your busy day. Do you have a warm
All
up routine? Do you have like an established, okay, I'm going to go on stage. I'm doing this
good.
warm up routine to make sure I'm prepared.
Uh, so yes and no. So I don't have necessarily a set warm up routine, but I have a warm up time though. I'll say that.
Okay.
So like I may go in on the stage, like if we have to be a sound check at, I don't know, 4 o'clock, I may go on stage around 3:30, 3:45, and just kind of do some stretching with my hands, my wrists, and sticks, and then I'll just go through like some basic rudiment stuff, like just singles on each hand, doubles on each hand, um, and probably just like some core rudiments like paradiddle stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I'll spend some time on that just to make sure that my hands are loose, and then also I'll also go over anything in the show that kind of feels weird or I need to make sure I nail. I'll go over that stuff too. Um, but that's really about it. It's really no set routine that I usually stick to, but it's like a time. It's kind of like whatever I feel. That's kind of what I do. But my main goal is to make sure that I'm feeling comfortable, feeling loose, and that my limbs are not tight, and I can play certain things that I want to play. So I do have a kick drum exercise though that I usually go through, and I'll do that as well during that moment during that routine.
Kick drum exercise? We need to know the secrets.
Oh yeah, yeah. So this kick exercise. So like it's basically going through all of the subdivisions. So, and I have a video on it as well. I'll send it to you. But the whole idea is like you keep quarter notes on the hats, 1, 2, 3, 4. Play 2 and 4 on the snare, 1, 2. 3, 4, and then you change the kick drum variation. So playing this groove, just a simple 2 and 4 groove, quarter notes on the hats, but then the kick pattern is like this. So it's like 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a E and a E and a E and a E and a 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and E and a E and a E and a E and a. So the idea is to loop that over and over again. So I'll start at like maybe you start pretty much at whatever BPM you want to, but the idea is to start slow and kind of gradually increase the speed and increase it like 5 or 10 BPM each time. And that's kind of how I warm up with my, my kick pedal or whatever. So
So
I'll do that and then run through the hand movements, stuff like that.
So with that bass drum exercise, I mean, that's an amazing exercise and great because just moving that around.
Mm.
How far into fatigue
Yeah.
will you push that? Like if you're pushing the BPM, I mean, you're going to hit a ceiling at one point. Do you push
Right.
it and you're like, I'm going to work this out today a little bit before the show? Or do you stop like as soon as it starts to burn, you're like, okay, I'm going to stop here.
Yeah, I mean, I won't necessarily push myself before the show, but like if
Yeah.
I'm practicing just on a practice day or whatever, I push myself then. So like if I hit a ceiling, then say if I get to like 150, that may be too fast or whatever. But say if I get to like 150 and I'm stuck, I'll go back to like 145 and kind of work at that BPM, and then I may be done for the day. But I'll come back the next day and I'll start at 150
I
just to
see.
see, okay, were my muscles just fatigued then, or can I like, am I able to play at this BPM? And then if I'm able to play it, I just keep building. So, and that's kind of how I work out with that exercise for my kick.
If you're doing it as a workout, how long did you have like a set time? Like I'm going to hang out at this BPM for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
Yeah, like I usually do like 1 to 2 minutes nonstop, and then
Okay.
I'll increase the BPM. Yeah,
Do you know who Travis Orban is?
name sounds familiar.
If you check
Very
him on
familiar.
YouTube, he was the drummer for Periphery for a while. He's like technical.
Okay.
He's very, very technical. But I had him on and we were
Okay.
talking about exercises. He had some exercises
Yeah.
he would do to develop his feet and hands that he would do 90 minutes straight.
What? 90 minutes?
Yeah, dude. He studied with Mike Mangini, and Mike Mangini was all about building that muscular endurance. And he'd sit there and do like
Yeah.
bare hand, barefoot practice 90 minutes. He would just keep going. And he would get to 16 minutes, like, I want to see how far I can take it. He would do certain exercises he called 1,000 reps, which would take 90 minutes.
Hey
I know.
man, that's a motivation though, man. I might have to try it, man, just to see.
You hit him up, I'm
That's
sure he'll tell all you
wow.
about it, man. It's a long
That's
time.
crazy.
It's
Wow.
crazy, man. But his ability shows for it, for sure.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
So first of all, I want to make sure if anyone's listening to this and doesn't know and hears this part of the episode, you have your Got Pocket clothing line, which I have a hoodie in the mail right now. I'm super stoked on. I know it's going to be a bang. I
Sure.
can't wait to wear it. I know you talk a lot about having a solid pocket, and you do have an incredible pocket when you're playing. I mean, you sound amazing.
Thank you, man.
What I want to ask you though, and this is going to be the opposite of your branding, you have got some chops though too, man. I mean, you move around the drum set, and you got good combos. And I'm just wondering
Yeah.
from a development perspective with that, because moving around the drum set, that physicality, I mean, I've really only heard of 1 or 2 ways people do it. They either shred and they got some patterns and they just hammer them, pushing the BPM, or they're
Yep.
just kind of this musical savant where they just kind of naturally are one of these guys who can do these things and they can just play. I was just wondering from the physicality around the drum set end, are you someone that was a natural chopper? Did you put the time in? And could you speak to how you developed some of that motion? Not necessarily a chops conversation, but just the control
Right.
and physicality of it.
Yeah, so it was definitely about just like for me, what I would do, I wasn't a chopper. I didn't start out a chopper. Like I wanted to be, and I would kind of play at it, kind of mimic certain guys, but I didn't have it, and I had to work to get it. So what I did though, and what I noticed along that journey and that process was that like I noticed like once I got one pattern down, it's like moving forward. If I were to come in contact with another pattern like this, it would just be easier. So I would spend time on something that I got hung up on or something that I hit a ceiling on, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this pattern down, and I'm just going to, just rep it. Just start slow, figure out the exact sticking that I'm trying to achieve. Start slow, gradually increase the speed. That's pretty much what I did. And it's like what I noticed though, like I said, once I got one pattern down, I played something, similar to it moving forward. I came in contact with another groove, another feel or whatever that I needed to figure out. And I started to it started to feel more at home and less foreign to me when I try to break the stuff down. And just by doing that over and over again over the years, it's like, okay, I got to where I'm at now. And it's just really about I think slowing things down, man, but maintaining the precision as you increase the BPM. It's like, okay, if you're increasing the BPM and starting to speed up a feel or whatever that you're trying to figure out, if it's sounding muddy, don't keep don't keep increasing the speed. Like, bring it back down, get it clean. Once you get it clean, like, okay, now you can increase it. But I know, like, even earlier in my career, like, I would hear something, I would hear a drummer play something. I'm like, okay, I want to learn that. I come behind the kid, try to play it at full speed. I wouldn't even spend time like slowing everything down, paying attention to each nuance and detail, each note. Um, but once I started doing that, that was the key for me. It's like, okay, if I know exactly what I'm playing and I train my muscles to play this motion, when I gradually increase the speed, it's going to be clean. It's going to be fluid. So that was my process, pretty much of everything. I mean, chops, grooves, everything that I wanted to figure out. The key for me was to slow it down and gradually increase the speed while staying precise and keeping everything clean.
Beautiful. And figuring out the
Yeah,
nuances.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like the ghost notes, all the stuff that could get missed if you start out fast and just go for it. Like, those little small nuances matter because it's music in that. It's music and ghost notes. So don't just those ghost notes are landing on a specific beat. So it's important to pay attention to all that stuff because it's going to make everything just sound fluid and just clean. So, and that's what I've tried to um, stick to and stay and pay attention to over the years.
I love it, man. I got two more for you, and then
Okay.
I'll get you out of here. You
Oh, good.
so thank you. The device, like, super fun conversation, man. We've talked about so many different things. This is
Yeah.
kind of a broad question, but I'm going to call this like a
Okay.
lessons learned question, right? You've
Yeah.
had an incredible career where you've juggled a combination from what my assessment from, physically being healthy, from being creative, economical success, from being an entrepreneur, I'd say in some cases with a clothing brand and different. I mean, what would be the biggest lesson that you've learned in your career from juggling everything?
Man. Um, I'll say this. Learn to learn when to say no. For one,
I'm sure.
man, because dude, it's like what I struggle. I still struggle with this. It's like you wanna help people out. You wanna be, uh, I guess, accepted by everyone. But it's like what I've noticed when I say yes to everybody. It's like for one, I won't have time to manage my own stuff. But then two, because I don't have time to manage my own stuff, I'm going to be in a bad mood and I'm not going to want to do this even though I already agreed to it and I have to do it. And overall, it's just going to put me in a bad space mentally. So for me, I have to keep a balance of committing to certain things. And I'm like, okay, if I agree to this, what is it? Is it in line with what I'm doing? Is it going to make me feel good to help somebody out while I'm in this space, or is it going to just get me off track and put me in a bad mental space and get me out of focus of what I'm trying to do? And that's kind of how I determine, like, okay, I need to accept this or I don't. And that's been the biggest thing for me is like knowing, like, weighing the options and seeing the bigger picture and knowing when to say no to certain things, learning to say no to certain things and not saying yes all the time because that that's tough. It's like trying to balance all this over here and then you got all these other projects, all these other people you said yes to, and it's like you'll go crazy and like all your stuff is going to lack and you just want to be in a good mental space. So as far as being like an entrepreneur and doing music full time, that's I've tried to find like a good I'm in a good space now, but just finding that good balance to where I can keep peace and have a good mind and what I'm saying and just have a positive mindset and give 110% for every situation, every business that I'm involved with. So, yeah.
You know, I could only imagine. So I have 3 companies that I run. I have 2 companies that pay the bills right now, and then I got all the drum mechanic stuff I'm excited about. And I'm sure when I finish this,
Yeah.
I'll have 15 messages asking for things and needing things. And I'm not even
Yeah.
in the same category of eyeballs on me as you are. I could only
Yeah.
imagine how many people are asking you things of you, like small favors. Do you want to be involved with this? I can't pay you too much, but I'd love to have you involved. And then bigger things. Like I really can only imagine how spread you could get thin if you were just a yes sayer
Yeah.
to everybody.
Oh man, and it's tough too, man, because it's so many projects and people that I like really want to help out, but I just I just don't have the time. And it's
Yeah.
like I can't I can't I can't say yes to everybody. I wish there were 2 of me though, because I tell the other guy, hey, go handle this while I'm over here, but it just doesn't work like that, man. And it's like I don't if I know I can't give 110% to something, then I can't commit to it, because at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to agree to something and do the job and I have do it, because at the end of the day, that's my name, that's my brand on the line, and that's not good. So yeah,
The last question I got for you, I've talked to John Roberts, who also had the Janet Jackson gig. I've talked to a lot
yeah,
of folks. Yeah, he's a great guy.
he is, man.
Talked to a lot of people who've had gigs like yours, and there seems to be an overwhelming challenge with in the beginnings of the career or a resource
Yeah,
availability. People have a hard time staying healthy and staying strong. And I was just
right.
wondering, as a closing statement, for someone who's aspiring for a career like yours, maybe they're just getting touring, or they're touring and currently not saying or taking care of themselves. Do you have any advice
Yeah,
for them?
man. I would just say, man, if you're planning to if you're planning to do this, I'll just say this: if you're planning to live a long, fruitful life, take care of your body, man. Like, do as much as you can, if as you can to stay healthy. Like, I know the resources, the money, may be an issue, but any opportunity that you have to eat good, healthy, to treat yourself to, I don't know, a massage, or go to a gym, get some cardio in, like really take advantage of that, because it's only going to pay off in the long run. Like, if you want to be a touring musician for, I'm not gonna say forever, because nothing's forever, but for a while, and you want to stay healthy and maintain a good balance, then definitely take care of yourself, man. Like, really, really put your focus on that, because the healthier you are, the better mindset you're in, is going to affect your playing. It's going to affect your environment, the people you're around. So you want to be 110% on and off of the instrument. So that's my advice.
Cool, man. Stronger drummers play longer.
There you go. Hey man,
Sick,
you need to
man.
get a trademark, bro.
Working on it, man. Hey, listen, Jerrod, thank you so much for your time, dude. This was an absolute blast. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on, bro.
Oh, I was told to ask you, are the 4 Korners doing anything?
Yes, we are. So, and we haven't announced this publicly, but I did my album, right. So at the time, we couldn't really figure out a name for that unit. So basically, the unit is it's 4 Korners plus 2 other guys: a saxophonist named Kyle Schroeder and a percussionist named Joey Gonzalez.
Nice.
So moving forward, what we're looking to do is basically combine all of that together. So initially, we called it, when I put out my album, we called it Jerrod Sullivan Band, and I didn't really like it, because I'm not really I guess I don't want to necessarily be a front man in the situation, because it's a band. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to move forward with the 4 Korners super group. So that's what we're looking to do, man. And it's basically the 4 Korners, but plus these additional 2 guys, man, who are amazing: Kyle Schroeder on sax and Joey Gonzalez on percussion. So to answer your question, though, yes, 4 Korners is still moving, and we have some shows and other things planned for 25. So be on the lookout.
You got to come to Toronto.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah,
Sick.
we definitely got to make that happen, bro.
I'll
We
be
never
there.
been to Canada, so that's gotta happen for sure.
Sick, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time, man. Everyone check out Got Pocket. And thanks so much for being here, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. It was a blast.